Hey guys, today we are continuing with the AM3 platform and we have this processor here. This is the AMD Phenom 2X2 570 Black Edition, which is a unlocked dual-core processor with a fairly high clock speed of 3.5 GHz. And here we can see the specs of our AMD Phenom X2 570 processor, codename Callisto. We've got two cores running at 3.5 GHz. We've got a megabyte of level 2 and 6 megabytes of level 3 cache. Also here the core voltage, and here a list of all the supported CPU instructions. Unlocked means that the multiplier can be changed in the BIOS or through software, making for very easy overclocking. Now personally, I'm not that much into overclocking, but having an unlocked multiplier, it makes it super easy to do so, and I didn't touch any settings apart from raising the multiplier, and the CPU ran at 4 GHz just fine, and we will see if that makes a difference later in the video. I did have a go at 4.1 and 4.2 GHz, but at those speeds Windows would randomly crash with a blue screen. I also had a go at unlocking the cores on the CPU, but unfortunately it was a no-go. The Phenom 2X2s have the codename Callisto and are harvested from the Deneb core, which has 4 cores, with 2 of them disabled. Often you can unlock these dormant cores, just like we did in a previous video when we had a look at the X2 and X3 Phenom 2, and both would fully unlock into a quad-core. But today luck wasn't on our side, and this X2 570 is going to stay a dual core. Now with only 2 cores, well, such a processor is not that great with running modern games. Some games won't even start or run extremely bad. So I see this processor much more suitable in a Windows XP retro gaming PC instead. Here having 2 cores are perfect, and together with the high clock speed, we should get some very solid performance. Here we have the parts that we're going to use in the video. We've got a AM3 motherboard from MSI, 4 GB of DDR3 memory in dual channel configuration, which is perfect for Windows XP. We've got, of course, the Phenom 2 570. For graphics, a GTX 750. We've got a 240 GB SSD and also a Sound Blaster X-Fi. I will have a look if I find some of these parts on AliExpress, and if I do, there will be some links down below in the video description. So here we are on the Windows desktop, and I'm gonna run CPU Z. I had a bit of, not trouble, but had to fill around to get the RAM running at the right speed. So we can see it runs at 1333 with 99924 timings. But if we look at the SPD profile, the memory has an XMP profile with 1600 megahertz and 99924 timing. So we have to reboot the machine and go into the BIOS and fiddle around with some of the settings to get the RAM to run at the optimal speed. So here we are on the BIOS, and we can go into the cell menu, and then we can go down here to the memory Z option, press enter, and we can see here it talks about XMP, and when we press enter we can see the speed and the timings. However, there doesn't seem to be an option to actually activate that profile, so we have to do it a little bit different. We go down here and we change the ratio to 1:4. Now it runs at 1600 megahertz, and now we've got to go back in here, and no, that was the wrong menu. I think it's this option here, timings, and we have to set them manually. So we're gonna set them to 999 and 24 for that one, and we also gonna set the 1T command rate. Reboot the machine, and hopefully these settings have been applied. And there you have it. The RAM is running now at 800 megahertz because of double data rate. This is effectively 1600 megahertz with 99924 timings and 1T command rate. So let's have a look at some benchmarks. First up, we've got 3D Mark. I ran 2001 SE, 2003 and 2005, and we're getting very good results. Next up, I benchmarked some games. So I used a 19-inch monitor with 1280 by 1024 resolution. All the games are maxed out. Only in Fear I disabled the soft shadows because they can severely impact the performance. But look at that, we're getting a terrific FPS. So this is good enough to drive a high refresh rate monitor and get silky smooth PC gaming. Here we can see the specifications of the GTX 750. This is the latest driver version directly from the NVIDIA website. For the benchmarks I used the default settings, but for the gameplay I did force 16x anisotropic filtering to make the graphics look a little bit nicer. And now we're going to have a look at some games. All the games are running at 1280 by 1024. Also all the details are maxed out, and we've got fraps running telling us the FPS.
Stay low and avoid contact if possible. You don't really want to alert the car.
You're going down!
Jack, I've been able to tie your compass in with the
Hey bro, what took you so long? Trying to find a way around.
Game 1.
So guys, this system delivers excellent performance. What a difference to some of the other builds where we always run into games that struggle quite a bit. Here, anything you throw at it from the Windows XP era will run silky smooth. Crysis being the exception, but supporting DirectX 10 and all of that, it's probably better played on an even faster or more modern machine. As always with the motherboard, very impressed, didn't have a single issue. I also liked the memory, dialing the timings was really straightforward, and it just gave us that little bit of extra performance. Under Windows XP you do want to have a Sound Blaster to get that CMSS 3D and EAX sound going. A lot of these games have an option to enable sound, and definitely worth checking out. The SSD worked fine. I always get comments about wear and tear and stuff like that. I think garbage collection is not that much of an issue with modern drives. And look, I use the SSD for maybe up to a week with a project, and then I wipe it and start fresh again. So for what I do, it's not an issue. Also, I was very happy with the GTX 750. This is an excellent video card for Windows XP. Now, I do have the GTX 750 Ti with double the VRAM, but I found no need, to be honest. We're getting already triple-digit FPS in all the games. The AM3 platform is very retro-friendly, support for IDE and floppy controllers. Most motherboards have either a serial and a parallel port as well, and XP drivers are readily available. The processor did an excellent job. I think this is a good fit for Windows XP, where multiple cores is not that important. You want to have 2 fast cores and high IPC with a high clock speed, and this chip definitely delivered. So to sum it up, I was really happy with the performance of this processor. Now, we could have run some Windows 10 stuff and some newer games, but I did some dual core benchmarking in a previous video where we looked at unlocking a dual and triple core processor, and there we saw that the performance wasn't that great with modern games, and you would get a lot of little skips and stutters. So Windows XP is definitely a much better operating system, and that's what I would recommend this platform for. And as always, guys, I do listen to all the comments. Let me know what you think about this system and the performance, and anything else you want to see in the future. I have a little list I keep in my notebook, and I just add video titles on there. And yeah, hopefully I get around to completing that list. It's fairly big, and it grows faster than I can produce videos. And that's really it. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon with another one.